Hey Exoticals, welcome back to another episode of the Dark Femininity series. In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to steal like an artist. That's right, because originality is an illusion, especially when it comes to something like social climbing. One thing I've noticed is that whenever a person thinks that they created something or they think they're the originator of something, they have a tendency to say things like, I'm an OG, or I was here first, or I'm the blueprint of this, or I'm the first person. None of those things matter unless you maintain your relevance. The only people that complain about not being seen or not having credit given to them are those who have lost their relevance. And so it's very important for you as a new up and coming pretty girl to always maintain your social status, because it's often those who feel like they have lost their social status who get mad at those who come in. They've been inspired by you, they've been influenced by you, but then they shoot for the stars and they kind of blow up. So we see this phenomenon happening with celebrities. We see it happening even on YouTube or on social media. You will see people who maybe one person started a particular trend or they started talking about a certain thing, and then other content creators came in and they built upon what those former creators started. And then those people, they keep on going up further and further. The thing that you have to remember though is you don't have to be afraid of people accusing you of copying. So anytime somebody comes on my channel and they accuse me of copying people, I actually don't see it as an insult. If anything, I see it as a sign that I am very relevant. I see it as a sign that I'm a rising star, because this means that people are comparing me to somebody who was of a high status. So even if that person they're comparing me to is no longer high status, I still take it as a compliment. And the reason I'm talking about this is because stealing like an artist, this applies in the workspace, this applies in your everyday life. For example, one social climbing tip that I used to use was, so when I was in college, that was when I worked my first public relations job. And I actually worked at a place where they would teach people how to get jobs. They would teach you kind of like how to articulate yourself, and they would do like resume writing. So I came across this one girl's resume. She was a professional resume writer, and I saved the entire PDF document to my computer because I was like, she is very good at this. Obviously, she's a professional, and so she's most likely better than me at resume writing, and I like the way that she formatted the resume. And so I took that resume and used it as a format, and then I just, used it for myself. So I erased everything that was originally on there. I put my name on there, put my jobs on there. I listed like the bullet points in the same type of format as her. And I was able to utilize a positive quality and a skill that another person took time developing. I was able to use that skill to my advantage. And so you may be thinking, wow, that's a bitchy thing to do, but this is how our society works. We do not live in a utopian society. All of your ideas, they were not created in a vacuum. So you may think that you're so original and that nobody on this earth has ever thought the same idea as you, but I can guarantee you that there are other people out there who have tried to do a makeup look that's similar, or maybe they are kind of tapping into the same ideas as you, and that's totally okay, because society does not actually reward originality. Society doesn't reward the person who does it first. If anything, the person who does something first is often viewed as crazy. They are often rejected. They are often viewed as weird or strange. Usually it's the second or the third or the fourth or the fifth person who comes along and they kind of like revamp that person's original idea and they do it their way. Usually it's those people who end up becoming successful. And so this is why when it comes to your dark femininity arsenal, it's going to be very important for you to, number one, be able to admit when someone is better than you at something. Yes, that's right. I just said to admit to yourself if someone is superior to you at a particular skill. Maybe they have better social climbing skills. Maybe they're better at makeup than you. They're better at fitness than you. They know how to do the workout. They know how to do the right format and how to lift the weights so that it hits the right muscles and stuff. So that is step one. It is to admit when somebody else is more skilled than you. Admit when somebody else has a superior mindset to you. So for example, hey, this person's really smart. I should probably listen to her. Hey, this lady, this professor at my college, she is very knowledgeable about these things. So let me take some notes. that kind of stuff is very important because number one, it helps you to understand your own strengths and weaknesses. And number two, you don't have to worry as much about making a fool of yourself because you're actually learning from your surroundings. You're learning from other people's mistakes and successes rather than constantly having to go out there and kind of teach yourself everything. And don't get me wrong, there are some people who do teach themselves everything. I just think that there's a faster way to succeed. And when I talk about the concept of stealing like an artist, what I really mean is you are aggressively sourcing multiple forms of inspiration, and you have so many different people that you're inspired by. You have so many different influences to the point where you are able to mix them all together and create your own unique form of social status. So in my Pretty Privileged series, I talk about things like building a beauty pedestal. So in this video, it's the same concept, except I'm talking about building a status pedestal. So you want to use the same principles that you would use with building a beauty pedestal. So you want to think of things in more of an abstract way. So you don't have to copy word for word what somebody else says or does, but you can just kind of you can allow them to influence you though. So even when it comes to my YouTube channel, as far as like me getting ideas for this channel or for the Patreon or for my membership page, by the way, be sure to join all of those things. You will get Discord access if you join the Patreon. But when I think about what inspires me, I like to listen to audiobooks all the time. So that's a part of my inspiration. I like to watch other content creators who are not even a part of my niche, like creators who are just totally random. You would think they have nothing to do with what I talk about on here. I like to even go out into nature and be inspired by the different colors and stuff. And then I might start thinking like, hey, I'm out on my hike right now. So maybe I'll talk about the benefits of working out and exercising and how it can help with social climbing. Like my ideas that I got about testing out new makeup looks when I'm on my walks and stuff, I got that idea from my real life. I actually was doing that when I was going out on trails and stuff, like just testing out the makeup. And so that was a little social tip that I gave to you guys on here. And so inspiration can come from anywhere. I'm always surprised when people say they run out of ideas because my theory is that you didn't run out of ideas, you just ran out of confidence. And by the way, I'm speaking to myself. But one thing that I've had to learn is that if I ever want to social climb, I'm going to have to take risks. So if you want to have social status in general, you have to take social risks, meaning that you're not afraid of being seen as an idiot. You're not afraid of being seen as weird. You're not afraid of people saying negative things about you. When I first started this YouTube channel, so many people were talking shit. A lot of people accused me of something I wasn't. Like people were accusing me of all kinds of things. People would just read my titles and then they would make their own conclusions and then just, try to paint themselves as victims. But one thing that I've learned is that people are going to talk shit about you anyway. So you might as well just do whatever the fuck you want. And also, think about inspiration and what that term actually means. Inspiration is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. And so being inspired really means that you saw someone else and then you got the idea after you saw them doing it. So think about like all of the makeup videos you watch. Think about how on Instagram you look at those different hair videos and stuff. The reason that you are watching them is so you can steal like an artist. It's so you can get some tips like, oh, okay, she puts gel on her hair and then she does the pineapple method and, this is how she does her hair. So technically, we are all giving and receiving ideas to one another at any given time. And so the point of being an artist, and by the way, I think that you should think of yourself as an artist. You don't have to be a content creator to be an artist. If you are an exotical, you should be your own makeup artist, your own stylist, your own hairstylist. Like those are all different forms of art. And so the same concepts that you would use for building a beauty pedestal, using your body as a canvas and you create art on your body, you're doing the same thing when it comes to your social life. You're doing the same thing when it comes to your business or your career or just navigating through society and learning how to stand out, learning how to increase your visibility. And some people might be thinking, well, stealing like an artist, that's not okay because you're not giving credit to the person where you got the idea from. And it's like, if everybody was required to give credit for every little thing, when I submitted that resume to a job, I would have had to put at the bottom of the resume, I got this formatting from so and so Career Center. It's like everybody is not going to give everyone credit. Think about capitalism in general. Think about who actually built this country, the United States of America. Think about all of the people who went unseen, who were the originators or the builders or the people who actually did all of the grunt work. Society is not utopian. We are not going to be in this world where everybody's giving and receiving credit, and where, if you came up with an idea, then everybody's just going to go follow you now. No, the bottom line is that society rewards people based on other things besides just originality. And also, one of the rules that I like to follow is I don't give a person credit unless I actually like that person. So if somebody inspired me to do a certain makeup look, or they inspired me to wear a certain outfit or something, I'll give them credit where credit is due. If I actually like the person and if I respect them and I feel like they respect me, then sure. But when it comes to every little thing I've ever done, no, I am not required to disclose where I got my sources from. I am not required to disclose every single thing that inspired this makeup look. And I just feel like people do so much virtue signaling because they're trying to shame you out of attaining social status. And so this is why they will try to say stuff like, oh, you want to be an influencer? Everybody's an influencer. They're saying that because they want you to feel like you're not original. They want you to feel like you're copying someone else. They want you to feel like you're following the crowd. But it's like, if that's in your heart and you want to be an influencer, be an influencer. If it's in your heart to be a makeup artist, who cares if people think you're copying your cousin who is also a makeup artist? Let them think what they want to think, because this is your life. This is your social climbing journey. And remember, the people who talk shit are the people who are sitting in the background of their own life. They are sitting at the bottom of society, according to themselves. And so they want you to feel the same way. A lot of people, they get mad when you have the boldness to actually take the inspiration you have and to create something out of that. So a lot of people will ask me, they'll say, oh, Exoticals United, how do you feel about people kind of taking the concepts from your YouTube channel and then trying to use it in a different niche or use it in a different way? My response is kudos. You learn from the best. But no, my response is just, that's totally fine. It's totally normal. Everybody was inspired by someone. There is no such thing as an original work of art except for you as a human being. Yes, you are original. Unless you have an identical twin, then maybe not. But no, seriously, there is no such thing as original art. All works of art are inspired by different things. So the way that I like to think of my life is actually a work of art. I am the person who has the paintbrush in my hand, and my life is like a canvas, and I get to paint my life with as many different colors as I want. So the girls who make comments like, oh, my life is so boring, or like, my birthday was so boring, it's like, well, you didn't do anything to make it exciting then. It's your life. You're the one that's in charge of it. So I talked in another video about how I like to do these little mood boards for myself. I like to make little vision boards on Pinterest on my phone. I like to create little lists and journal out things that I want to do. So like different hobbies that I want to try. That is me making my life into a work of art. You know how people say, oh, my life is like a movie. Okay, well, a movie is a work of art. Somebody produced that movie. There was a creative director who was behind all of the cast and all of the set and the design and stuff like that, and all the costumes they wore, all the hairstyles they wore. So that's how I like to think of my life. My life is a work of art. My social standing in society is a work of art. So I get to curate that however I want to. You know how I talk about when it comes to beauty, I say that beauty is not a monolith. I talk about how everybody has their own unique internalized beauty standard. I feel the same way when it comes to creativity. Everybody has their own unique creativity standard. So just because you may think that I'm copying somebody else's makeup, or you might think I'm copying somebody else's outfit, the way that I might think of it is, oh no, this person just reminded me that I had some red lipstick in my cabinet that I wanted to try. Or this video that I watched, it reminded me that I need to create this new business for myself. Because for the people who maybe, let's say somebody else is copying you, or people are accusing you of copying others, this could be makeup, it could be a business idea, it could be a YouTube channel. The way that I see it is, even if somebody sees my YouTube channel and they see the information on my YouTube channel and they take that information and they know how to mix and mingle it up with their own personal life experiences and make it apply to a totally different audience, that in and of itself is still creativity. It may not have been the same type of creativity as mine, but that still is a form of creativity. So one thing that I've learned is that when you are the pretty girl, or when you are somebody who already has a form of social status, people want to invalidate your creativity. I see them doing this with Beyonce all the time. They do this with Ice Spice. They do this with Cardi B. They do this with anyone that they view as already having been on a pedestal, and they'll say, well, you only got what you have because you're pretty. You only got what you have because of your complexion. She only got that because she's white. Like, I've actually seen this happen even with like Taylor Swift and like, women who are not even women of color. And it's like, sure, of course, people have certain privileges and our society is very messed up, but I still am smart enough to recognize when somebody has creativity. Taylor Swift still has creativity when it comes to writing songs or, doing stuff like that, making her lyrics. Ice Spice and all these other people, they still have some form of creativity. I actually feel like having creativity is just a part of the human experience. We all have imaginations. Creativity just means that you take something from your imagination and you manifest it in real life. And so me thinking of, hey, I want to wear a red lipstick today to work, and then me actually going to the store, purchasing a lipstick, and then putting it on and wearing it, I just took a thought or an idea that was in my imagination and I took the actions required to manifest that in real life. And you guys might be thinking, well, what should I do if somebody else is just completely copying me and they're not stealing like an artist? They are just completely parroting what I say, or, they're copying my exact Instagram story or something. Then you have the upper hand because you are the source of their creativity. So all you have to do is keep on changing it up, keep on constantly coming up with new ideas, and continue to flex that creativity muscle. They won't be able to keep up. So this is why I'm not intimidated by another woman's creativity. I've noticed that some people, they're intimidated by another person's creativity because their creativity has limits. And it's like, no, just because you put a limit on your own creativity, that doesn't mean I have limits on my creativity. You ain't seen nothing yet. And so let's say you want to be an Instagram influencer and somebody keeps on copying your stories. This actually happened to me before, where another girl, she kept copying everything I did, like the poses, the makeup, whatever. I just kept posting. I kept posting dozens of brand new Instagram stories all the time. Some of them would be quotes. Some of them would be like just what's going on in my day, or with different filters or different funny things. And my creativity was so constant to the point where she eventually could not keep up. And she even made a post on her Instagram and she was like, I'm so tired of women trying to compete with each other. Something where it was like kind of admitting defeat, honestly. Because I never saw it as I'm competing with her. I just saw it as, no, I'm expressing myself. If you happen to express yourself in a way that is similar to me, that's fine. But if you're trying to directly express yourself in the exact same way like how I do, that's going to be impossible, because nobody has your imagination. Nobody has your exact experiences, your memories, your traumas, your strengths and weaknesses. And so the way I see it is that we can all feed off of each other and still create new things. Because if you ask 10 people for their opinions, you're going to get 10 different answers. So the way I like to see it is nobody can take away my imagination, because I know how to get inspired by so many different things. And some of you guys might be wondering, how can I use my creativity to social climb? How can I use creativity to increase my social status? Well, you can start off by watching my video on how to have these social climbing strategies. So some of the creative ways that I social climb are, number one, I like to look at my own personality type. And I know that I'm an extrovert, so I know that for me, a creative way that I can social climb is to make friends, with people who also like to go out and do the same hobbies as me. I like to take on new activities and stuff like that. And that is my creative way that I am helping myself. So, like what I say about me, it may not work for everyone. And another thing I've noticed though about people who don't have creativity or people who get mad when they see someone surpassing them when they're kind of doing similar work or they kind of have a similar look or something, I've noticed that those people, they get mad because they don't have a clear vision for what they wanted. So, for example, this can actually relate to women of color because I've seen some women and they'll get mad and they'll say, she has the same features as me. She has the same hair texture as me. The only difference is she's light skinned and she's successful and I'm not. And it's like, well, who told you that you can't be successful because of your darker skin? That's probably something you told yourself, or you listened to other people. You allowed other people's lies to seep into your subconscious mind to the point where you don't even apply yourself on the same level as someone with a different phenotype because you believe that your phenotype holds you back. And so I've noticed that people who police your creativity, usually those are people who lack creativity within themselves. So that's why even when that girl on Instagram, even when she was copying me, I didn't go publicly on Instagram and say so and then tag her and be like, this girl's copying my post or whatever. No, I didn't do that. Sometimes I might be a little nice nasty, like at work. I told you guys the story about how my manager, she started trying to dress like me and she even tried to copy my diet because she happened to be very obese and I'm slim. So I think she was probably trying to lose weight. And so it's up to you how you want to do it. You can be the nice nasty girl and, call it out, or you can just kind of ignore it and continue on your creative journey of stealing like an artist. And by the way, if I want to steal an idea, let's say I want to steal an idea for like a makeup look or something, I don't source it just from one person. I will have a whole entire Pinterest page where I have like 50 different makeup looks that include red lipstick, and I will come up with a whole bunch of different ways to do that look. And so even if people do say, oh, you're trying to copy, you're trying to look like Beyonce, you're trying to look like so and so. Has anyone else gotten that, by the way? Any exoticals? Like, because anytime I change my hair, people automatically say, you're trying to look like Aaliyah, you're trying to look like Beyonce, you're trying to look like so and so. And it's like, well, I wasn't trying to, that's just what you think. And one thing I've learned is that people are always going to talk shit. People are always going to accuse you of trying to be like someone else. But what that person is really saying is you're succeeding. Because if you say you're trying to look like Aaliyah, that means that I actually succeeded then because you looked at me and you thought of Aaliyah. So I mean, did I really fail or no? But when it comes to social climbing, the way that I like to think of it is you can use other people as references. So in the last video, I talked about your social life. What kind of social life do you want? What kinds of friendships do you want? What do you want your weekends to look like? And another reference you can use is, do you know anyone in your real life who has the social life that you want? Because one thing I've noticed is that when women are jealous of you and they're jealous of your pretty privilege, they're actually jealous of your lifestyle. They want your life. They want what you have, which is walking in the grocery store and everyone's looking at you, or getting free drinks. They actually want your social status. That's really what it is. It's not even just about the beauty and stuff like that. It's more so that they want to literally have your identity. They want to move in society in the same way that you do. But when I'm talking about using dark femininity to social climb, what you can do though is you can use references to your advantage. So for example, when you're thinking about your dating style, who do you think has a dating style that kind of references what you want to do? Do you date like how Lori Harvey dates, where she dates these guys with money and stuff? Do you feel like your dating style is more like Taylor Swift? Is your dating style kind of like Meg the Stallion or something? Like, that is what I mean when I say stealing like an artist. It is looking all around you, looking at multiple sources or multiple different women or people that you are interested in, and then asking yourself, hey, do I want to live the same lifestyle, or do I want to steal those ideas for myself? Do I want to start only dating men who have money, or do I want to try a different type of guy? Because I see that like 5 of my friends, they were able to get with a guy with money. So do I want to try that for myself? And it's okay to ask yourself those kinds of questions. It's okay to pivot and to change your mind. And I've noticed that sometimes people will talk shit because they just don't like the fact that you are pivoting. They don't like the fact that you are leaving them behind, is really what it is. Even the people that try to stop you and they say, oh, well, you shouldn't copy anyone. Well, technically everybody's copying someone, because I'm not the first channel to ever be on YouTube. You're not the first one to ever wear red lipstick. You don't own red lipstick. You don't own sundresses. So it's like technically almost everything we do that's creative has been inspired by someone else. And so one thing I've learned is to get used to that. It's okay if I tapped into the same type of idea as someone else. It's okay if I show up to a party. Okay, one time I showed up to a party and I was wearing this Forever 21 dress. So that was mistake number one, was shopping at Forever 21. No shade. But so I showed up to the club in this Forever 21 dress, and there was this other girl. She was wearing the exact same dress, and she was also an Exotical. I don't remember what she was like mixed with, but she was another multiracial black girl, and we were wearing the same dress. And I didn't react badly. I wasn't like, oh my God, we're both wearing the same thing. No, I actually went up to her because I knew her. We were like acquaintances, and I was like, oh my gosh, girl, cute dress. We're twins, like twinsies. And then I remember I even wanted to take a picture together and like look cute. And she was like, no, I don't want to take a picture with you. I don't want to take a picture. But looking back, I'm not trying to be mean, but I do think that potentially maybe she felt like it was a competition and maybe she didn't want me to like outshine her in the dress or whatever, because she was a little bit bigger. And I'm not trying to throw shade, but the way that I see it is if somebody else has the same idea as me, or if I end up looking like somebody else, or, you know, people say, you're trying to look like Aaliyah, you're trying to be like Beyonce, you're trying to be an influencer. I actually take it as a compliment, because if anything, that means that those people, they have good taste. So that girl that was wearing the same dress as me at the party, she has good taste. Beyonce and Aaliyah, those women, they're very beautiful. So it's like, it's not the diss that you think it is, but one of the main tactics that people use to prevent you from gaining social status is they want to use shame. So for those of you who believe in the whole vibrational scale of emotions, shame is actually the lowest on the scale. I'm not really a spiritual person, but I like this chart where it kind of talks about like the spectrum of emotions and which ones are like the worst emotions. So people will try to shame you by making you feel like, oh, you're copying somebody else, or, you know, you're just trying to be a rip-off version of Beyonce. You're trying to be a rip-off influencer. You don't do it as good as so-and-so other influencer. You know those people that want to compare you to someone else so they make you feel inferior? You're not as light-skinned as so-and-so other person. Your hair's not as curly as your sister. They're saying those things because they want you to feel shame. They don't want you to tap into the creativity with your curly hair. They don't want you to tap into creativity with your skin tone. They don't want you to play with your ambiguity. They don't want you to use any of your privileges that you have to attain wealth. They want you to stay poor. They want you to stay poor. Have you ever realized how people want you to do well, they just don't want you to do better than them? And so they will literally shame you for using creativity or from learning from other people and being mentored by other people and then kind of going down that same path. People will try to say, oh no, who do you think you are trying to be an influencer? Who do you think you are trying to start a business? You're nobody. You didn't even finish college. What makes you think that you're smart enough to start a business? They're literally saying those things so that you can feel shame. And one of the ways that people will try to shame you is in the area of your creativity. So they will try to say that like you're not as creative as someone else, or they will try to, sometimes people will try to use their creativity against yours. And they will try to make it like, oh, well, I did it first. You know, like I wore my hair in this hairstyle first, or I wore my lipstick like this first. And remember, the people who say stuff like that, usually those are people who have lost their relevance. Usually those are people whose business is declining, or, you know, maybe they are kind of like a has-been, or they feel like they're a has-been. They're kind of washed up. And so this is why they're mad when other people, you know, they take on those qualities or they take on some of those ideas and they succeed. But one of the other ways that you can use dark femininity to steal like an artist is to create the type of stuff that you want to see. So for example, if you say things like, I don't have enough representation with my phenotype, who better to represent you than yourself? Make your own fashion blog or something with like women who look like you. Create your own production company if you can, or if you have the means to. Create your own jewelry line and use people of your skin tone as models. So that's one of the ways you can steal like an artist. It is to be the change that you want to see or look like what you want to see. So, for example, I talked about fashion in another video and how I've always been into the very creative fashion, almost like costumey. So, for example, like princess core, I think that's what it's called, princess core. So I've always thought that that sort of stuff was like really pretty. And so instead of me just complaining, saying, I don't see any women who look like me who are wearing princess dresses. You know what I did? I literally went, ironically, I went to Forever 21 and I got myself a pink dress and it kind of looked like a princess dress. It had like little puffy sleeves. And I started wearing my little pink princess dress and I made myself into the princess instead of complaining that nobody else looked like me. No, I became the work of art that I wanted to see. So instead of craving more diversity when it comes to art, whether it's makeup artistry, the way people do their hair, the way that people carry themselves with fashion, make yourself into the art. Make yourself into the muse. Be your own muse. That's the thing that I've learned, was to be my own muse. Create my own beauty pedestal. Create my own YouTube channel that I would like to see. I created the type of YouTube channel that I would want to watch. I had no idea that there would be thousands of people who also wanted to watch this type of content. I had no idea. All I did was I focused on myself. I was like, what types of videos would I want to watch? Okay, I would want to watch videos that point out hypocrisy, that talk a little bit of shit, that are kind of like controversial. That's what I would want to watch. And I haven't seen it before. I've only seen it from one side, but I didn't see it from my perspective. So instead of me complaining that nobody represented me on YouTube, I represented myself. But another thing that I have always used to my advantage when it comes to stealing like an artist is I always mix my art with my passion. So I have learned, instead of like wanting somebody else to be passionately in love with me, I have learned to fall passionately in love with myself. So that means being creative with my own makeup, being creative with my own hairstyles. Yes, I can be inspired by the Pinterest hairstyles, but if my hair won't do that hairstyle, let's say my hair is too fine or, it's too thick for that hairstyle, then guess what? I am passionate enough about showcasing my own creativity to the point where I will create a new hairstyle as I'm styling myself in the mirror. And I don't care if it doesn't quite look exactly the same as what you see on Instagram. But that is kind of how I view stealing like an artist, or utilizing resources and learning from other people and kind of building upon that, because that has really helped me to grow faster. Just learning from other people, observing other people's mistakes and observing, their strengths, and then being able to admit to myself, hey, she is really good at this, or she's really good at makeup. And then instead of me getting jealous and mad, I will start to learn those skills for myself. Like, hey, how can I do my makeup kind of like that? How can I beat my face? It's so funny because when I was in college, I remember these guys, there were these gay guys in the cafeteria, and they looked at me, they were like, her face is beat. And at first I thought they meant like ugly, like beat, like you look beat or something, like you look like you got beat up. But then I realized they were saying it looks beat, like it looks really good. And that actually meant a lot to me, because that day when I did my makeup, I was taking a risk by doing a different kind of makeup that I normally didn't do. So I was wearing like a smoky eye, the winged eyeliner and all that. Remember when that was the thing? Yeah, so I did my makeup kind of like that. And at first I was like, well, I don't know if this looks very good, but at least I was creative with it. And it turns out it was received well. But how do you plan on using your dark femininity to steal like an artist? Have you ever taken some ideas or kind of sourced ideas from somewhere else and then you just did it better and you were successful at it? Or, maybe you learned from somebody else's mistakes and then you went on to not make those mistakes? Has anyone ever tried to accuse you of being a wannabe celebrity, a wannabe influencer, a wannabe businesswoman? Has anyone else tried to shame you out of utilizing your creativity? Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.